Sami, and they are the ones who could have a huge impact on the outcome of this election in a crucial swing state like Michigan is. I'm here at a polling station. Around 45% of the population or registered voters here in Michigan have already voted with early voting or mailing their ballots. However, we've been seeing people coming into this polling station steadily since very early in the morning. And in this city, there's lots of interest about this election, mostly because it has the highest concentration of Muslim and Arab Americans in the United States. And traditionally, these people have voted for the Democratic Party. But that's something that has started to change. When you talk to people here, they say that the ongoing wars in the Middle East, the war on Gaza, in Lebanon, is a personal matter to them. Many of them have relatives in Lebanon, others in Palestine, and many other countries. You can talk to lots of people that are fleeing the wars in the Middle East, from Yemen, Syria, again, Palestine, and Lebanon. So certainly, many of the people we have spoken to say that they're going to vote for the Green Party, for Jill Stein, because she has been calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East. But also many of them have been telling us that they'll vote for Donald Trump. Trump was here in this city last Friday meeting with leaders of the Arab American community there, where he promised them that he's going to achieve peace in the Middle East. However, many of the people we have spoken to are saying that he has not personally spoken about a ceasefire, a humanitarian ceasefire in Lebanon and in Gaza. So certainly, even though Arab Americans in this country represent only 1% of the registered voters, they are crucial. They're an important voting bloc because they're located in swing states such as this one. And this is a swing state where Trump won back in 2016, where Joe Biden won in 2020. Well, we're going to have to see who wins this time, but certainly Donald Trump has been gaining ground among voters who in the past voted for the Democratic Party. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Teresa Bow there. Let's go.
It's one that Kamala Harris hopes to win. And the reason it's becoming increasingly Democratic is that people have moved into the urban area around Atlanta. They call it the blue blob. And that's where most of the newcomers come here. And they are voting like people in Atlanta do, which tends to be toward Democrats. It's got 16 of those 270 electoral votes that the winner needs. And how important is it? Well, somebody is interfering today. That is because we have heard from the Fulton County Police, that is the county that includes Atlanta, that there have been several bomb threats and other threats at polling places here, and they've had to shut some of them down, but they've cleared those threats, and they've opened the polling stations back up, and the police here say that they're going to ask for a court order that will allow those polling places to be open for an extra length of time to make up for the time that they were closed. It's important to note that this state was the one that the Republicans made the epicenter of their effort to overturn the 2020 election. That effort was unsuccessful, but in it, Donald Trump called the Secretary of State, asked him to just give him 11,780 votes. That didn't happen. Trump ended up on charges along with several alleged co-conspirators. And that election was finally decided for Biden, but it took 16 days to do that. So they've changed the laws, allowed them to count early, report earlier, and we expect much earlier results this time around.
All right, thanks so much. John Hendren there.
Recent history. Tens of millions of Americans have already made their choice between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Election day has unfolded largely smoothly across the nation Tuesday, but there have been some reports of extreme weather, ballot printing errors, and technical problems causing delays. In Cambria County, in the must-win state of Pennsylvania, a judge has ordered polls to remain open for an extra 2 hours because of glitches in vote counting technology. They were supposed to close at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, let's go to the mothership, so to speak, the U.S. Capitol, where France 24's François Picard is standing by for us in Washington. So, François, voters in all 50 states have just a few hours to go to cast their ballots down.
Yeah, heavy and steady is the turnout, and that's on top of course, the 82 million plus who cast ballots before Election Day, either with absentee or with mail-in ballots. So we'll see if we top the number of 4 years ago, already a record for the century, 66% turnout. Too soon to say. Both campaigns have become oh so sophisticated at getting out the vote, and it's a campaign where on the issues and on the personalities, both sides extremely energized. At this point in time, Yinka, well, everybody's trying to read tea leaves, but it's just too soon. One example, NBC News quoting a source inside the Wisconsin Elections Commission stating that there's a higher turnout among early voting among women than men. Now, does that mean that Kamala Harris will win that critical swing state? Absolutely not. There could be, first of all, there are lots of women who also vote for Donald Trump, even though we have seen in this election polls consistently indicate a widening gap between how you vote according to which gender you belong to, a 15% gap. In fact, in one Pew Research survey from the month of September, which, if it panned out to be true, would, according to pollsters, be a record. So, everybody's trying to read tea leaves at this point. And we're now less than 2 hours away from reading the first ballots in a lot of critical states. They've changed the rules in the last 4 years. Thus, it will be a quicker count than before. It won't be the case, though, in Pennsylvania that you mentioned, Pennsylvania, where you can only start opening ballots on the day of the election.
Well, we'll have to see what the results are going to be like. Francois, thank you so much for bringing us up to date there. Francois Picard there in Washington. He's, of course, going to be with us throughout the rest of the night as we watch who will be the next president of the United States. Well, the man of the hour, Donald Trump, has cast his ballot in West Palm Beach, Florida. The Republican told reporters after voting that he feels very confident about winning back the White House and that he would concede defeat if it's a fair election. Florida was once considered a pivotal battleground in presidential elections, but in recent years, the Sunshine State has proved to be reliably red, but that hasn't stopped Democrats from getting out in big numbers, though. Eliza Herbert has more.
Florida is a Republican stronghold, and yet not everyone is voting for Donald Trump.
I voted for Kamala Harris because she's honest, because Trump is a crook. She's educated, she's intelligent, she has measured words.
But while some Democratic Party supporters expressed hope for the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz ticket, the voting experience was getting on their nerves.
We're in Palm Beach Island, and we're heavily outweighed by the Republican Party here. And I think what's most discouraging for me today is the amount of vitriol and meanness that we've actually seen so far today.
Republicans, on the other hand, expressed confidence and concerns of electoral fraud.
Hopefully we get the results by the end of the day, but I seriously doubt it. They need serious time to try to cheat and try to rig it as much as possible, but I really think this time around it's going to be way too big to rig this time.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen.
The former president has long touted unsubstantiated claims that the 2020 election was rigged, prompting anxiety that violence could erupt if he is defeated once again. But after also casting his ballot in his home state, Trump told reporters he would accept the results.
If I lose an election, if it's a fair election, I'd be the first one to acknowledge it. Of course, there'll be no violence. My supporters are not violent people.
Florida has been trending to the right for several years now, and the Democratic Party has not won a statewide seat since 2018. This presidential election, the state has 30 out of 538 electoral college votes up for grabs.
Well, let's cross live to West Palm Beach, Florida, and speak to France 24's Ketavan Gojestani, who is standing by for us. Ketavan, we heard just in that report some of the support for Democrats in the red state of Florida. What chances do the Democrats actually have in the state?
Look, a real telltale sign about whether the Democrats feel themselves that they have a chance in Florida is whether or not they campaigned here and whether or not they spend a lot of money here. And neither of those are true. You didn't really see Kamala Harris traveling to Florida, and that is because the Democrats know that there's really no real chance, bar a huge surprise, that they would be able to win in Florida. No Democrat has won in Florida since 2012, since Barack Obama. And as you said, Florida went from swing state to reliably a Republican state. That said, there are other races and other down ballot measures that could turn out more Democrats. One is the Senate race, where Rick Scott, the Republican, is trying to get a second term in the Senate. And while the latest polls show that he has quite a margin ahead of the Democrats, there was one point in the race where things were looking a little bit too close for comfort for the Republicans. And so the Democrats are hoping that maybe there could be a chance there. But most importantly, there is a down ballot measure on abortion. Amendment 4 is meant to enshrine in the state constitution access to abortion. And that is something Democrats believe they will be able to use to motivate Democratic voters to turn out and to vote in this red state of Florida. Remember, back in 2022, Roe versus Wade was overturned. And after that, the state of Florida implemented a 6-week ban on abortions here in Florida. And for Democrats, right now, all about Amendment 4. This is something they believe that they can win on this election night.
Well, James, mostly at this point, it didn't, mostly because of the results in other states and Trump winning in other states. In fact, we're just hearing that Michigan has been called off. The counting continued until very early this morning. And what we know is that Trump won with a little over 80,000 votes in this state. But what is interesting is what happened here in the city of Dearborn, with a large Arab American population and Muslim population located here, who traditionally used to vote for the Democratic Party. And that's something that started to change. In the latest results that we have from here is that Donald Trump won with 42% of the votes in the city of Dearborn. Kamala Harris got 36% of the vote, and the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, got 18% of the vote. So certainly this was a big loss for the Democratic Party here, where around 68% of the population voted for Joe Biden back in 2020. To talk about what's been going on here, we're going to talk to Mustafa Hammoud. He is a member of the Dearborn City Council. So it was a big loss for the Democratic Party here. I mean, we know that it is the war on Gaza. I mean, how can you explain what's been going on in this city?
You know, I think we've been saying since January, all we want is a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think and now in Lebanon. And it's not a surprise to people who are here that the vote share changed the way that it did. I mean, Republicans have been engaging with the community in a way that Democrats have not now since the last elections for the last several years. So to people who are actually on the ground here, I think it's not as much of a surprise as people might think.
We have now, a Donald Trump as president of the United States once again. For many, he's a man who hated Arabs. There was a Muslim ban in place. And in spite of that, many people voted for him. Are you concerned that him as president, there's going to be an impact on the community? What do you think can happen? Well, what we're seeing for now is that only 20% of the votes have been counted, and it's an extremely razor-thin election right now. So it's too early right now to know who's going to win this state. But let me tell you a little bit of where I am right now. I'm in a watch event in the city of Dearborn. This is the largest concentration of Muslim Arab Americans in the United States. Traditionally, people here voted for the Democratic Party. However, since the war on Gaza and Lebanon started, things have started to change here. And now there's many who are saying that they will vote for or voted for Jill Stein and Donald Trump. I'm going to be talking to some of the people here. They've been watching the results. And among the people watching here, is Jacqueline Seidan. Jacqueline, we were talking a bit earlier today, and you were telling me it was a special election, that you generally go and vote and you're excited and happy, but this time you were in mourning. What happened to you?
Yeah, maybe not a special election. I think it was a different election. I've been involved in politics for a very, very long time, and I will tell you that this one specifically, I'm a very aggressive voter, and I enjoy voting. This time I walked in, actually I was shaking, and I was really sad by the decisions that I had to make. when we have our people in Lebanon and Palestine and Yemen and everywhere else literally being slaughtered and carpet bombed, and our voices have been shut down at the DNC, our voices have been shut down everywhere we go because people think that we don't exist. It was a really hard decision to make about who do I vote for. So I will say tonight for me, it's not about him and it's not about her, and I refuse to tell anybody what I did and how I voted because I want people to understand that it's about tomorrow, and what happens tomorrow and in the future is really, really important because I will tell you, I'm hoping that what I want to see is our community come together and stand strong and be able to start building power and wielding power so that we can stand up for our own people and our voices be heard. Because what has happened, this genocide, this is the second genocide in the world. We've had the first one, the Holocaust, and for people to deny what we have been witnessing for over a year is beyond insane and beyond shameful. We are all humans on this earth, and humanity should always prevail.
You're talking about building power as a community. We see that the Israeli lobby here in the United States and the enormous power it has. Do you believe that politicians have taken, the Arab American vote for granted in a way?
Absolutely. They have taken it for granted. But I also think that we as voters nationally, I think we also have been a little bit complicit in 30, 40 years about how we vote and what we do. And I think we, the people, have been awakened to the corrupt politicians in this country. And this election has really gotten people mobilized. Whether we're from our community or across this nation, I think people have come out and really want to be heard. And I'm hoping that this continues, not only in our community, but as American citizens in this country. I want us all to say, we are holding you accountable no matter what party you're from.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. So this is a bit of the feeling that we've been seeing, the reactions, we've been listening all day among members of the Muslim Arab American community in the United States, again, that traditionally voted for the Democratic Party, and this time it has changed. They're voting for Donald Trump and many others. They're voting for Jill Stein, and this will have a huge impact on whomever wins this race. Let's not forget that Michigan has 15 electoral votes, and it could definitely define who will make it to the White House. Back to you.
All right, Teresa, thanks for that. Teresa Bay reporting there from Dearborn in Michigan. Well, let's cross over to the